Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Agents in the Trenches, a raw discussion of what it's like to be an agent in today's changing market. I am the host today, Talia Miranda, and I've been with Lucy for about a couple of years now. So right now she's actually in Colombia. As you all know, she's an international real estate and business coach. So right now she's opening the doors there in Colombia, making waves and creating opportunities. So she may be tapping in a little bit later in the interview, but for now, I am going to take the bull by the horn. And I have here a very special guest. I actually met her a few months back in a networking event, and immediately I followed her on social media and been following her journey since then. And she has been making waves herself in the local real estate market. So I'm super excited to bring her on. And also, Lucy is here. I wasn't sure if she was coming in, but I'm going to add her to the stage as well. So, hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. So happy you were able to make it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear
I
you.
know. No, no. Hello. You guys caught me off guard trying to connect here. I am transmitting live from the home fair in Medellin, Colombia, because we all need to go international. International is the name of the game. But I just wanted to say hello. Melissa, congratulations for
Thank
being
you.
here at Agents in the Trenches. Um, and I'm super excited that you were able to connect. Talia, thank you for leading the way back at the home front. We are opening huge doors of opportunity. We're opening major gateways here. I just had a conversation with a gentleman that is going to go to Southwest Florida. He was looking to invest in Miami, and after I told him our price points and what we're doing, he says, I got to come see you guys. So, Melissa, we're going to be sending some referrals your way if you want to be part of this growth and this expansion. Dalia, it's all boots on the ground here. So, I'm going to let you guys continue the conversation and I'll chime in at the end. But to everyone that's connected, let's share this live. Let's get the word out about this amazing young lady, Melissa Orta, who is just dominating the Southwest Florida arena with everything she's doing in real estate. I love it. I told you that the day I met you at that networking, and every time I see you out there, I'm like, this is how you do it. So I'll let you guys continue that conversation and I'll chime in at the end.
Awesome. Thanks, Lucy. So, Melissa, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, how long you've been in the industry, and maybe a little fun fact.
Okay, so my name is Melissa Orta. I have been a real estate agent. I'd say I'm close to 2 years, but not yet. In 2024, it'll be 2 years. I went into the industry because after I graduated college, I realized that I didn't necessarily want to, work like a 9 to 5. I wanted to go more in like the entrepreneurial route. And I always wanted to be an agent because I used to also work at a bank, and I met a lot of agents when I was working at a bank. And they told me that I'd make a really good agent because I was so outgoing and so charismatic. So they said that I should try that out. And so I did after college. I took my course and I just went full in. I took a risk, and just like every agent does. And yeah, I've been an agent ever since.
I love it. I believe one of the questions I had asked you when I first met you was, where you were from, and you had mentioned that you were from Miami and you moved here, right?
Yes. So I was born in Cuba. I moved to Miami when I was about 7 years old with my mom. So I grew up in Miami, and I moved to Fort Myers about 3 years now. Been about 3 years because I just wanted a different environment. I didn't really want to live in Miami anymore. It's just so hectic there. So I figured I moved to Southwest Florida instead.
Wow, that's an amazing story because I mean, you went from a place that you knew and you grew up in and went to a completely new environment and started your business here in this new environment. And you've hit the ground running. So I want to talk a little bit about that, right? Because you're 2 years in the industry. I'm also 2 years in the industry as well. And, I think, we're still kind of new, right? We have experience, of course, but we're not like 30 plus years in the industry, right? So we still got a little bit of ways to go. But for the most part, you've done so much in the 2 years. So, tell us a little bit about the beginning, right? Because I talk to a lot of, new real estate agents, and I always hear the same thing where it's like, oh, I want to know a little bit more. I want to get a little bit more experience. And then they're going to start their business. Were you the same way? Like, did you have to get a whole bunch of information before you started, or did you just start off the rip?
The only information that I wanted from the beginning was how to do contracts. So that was the information that I wanted the most. I knew that in the school, just because I had talked to previous agents, they don't necessarily teach you how to be a good real estate agent. They just teach you, how to get your license. So I figured right after that, what I needed to do was train on how to do contracts and then really experiment on how to do lead generation. So I did not give myself like 8 months to do that. I started lead generating right at the beginning because I'm a sole believer that you have to act in order to learn. So a lot of agents rather like learn for months. I'd rather be out there and learn in the field. So that's kind of what I did.
That's awesome. I think that's the best type of learning is going out there and doing it, right? Making your mistakes, learning from it, and then just improving. A lot of times, we get a little scared and we're like, oh, well, I don't know, I don't want to make mistakes, this is serious. Well, yeah, of course you're going to make mistakes regardless whether you know everything or not. This is new, it's a new environment. So I think that's great. So talk to me about, I had asked you a question, right? When I invited you to Agents in the Trenches, I'm like, tell me what you believe is the key to your success. And you mentioned something very, I think, important. So I would love for you to talk about that and tell me what that means to you.
Yeah, so the key to my success is really building relationships with everybody. So I consider everybody my friend. It doesn't matter where I go, whether it's a coffee shop, whether it's a restaurant, whether I'm at a bakery, or whether I'm on the streets. I talk to everybody. I introduce myself, I talk to them. I have this thing where I'm just very relatable, regardless of the person I'm speaking with. I can understand. And so I just build a lot of relationships in my community because I want to be known as the go-to person when they are thinking about buying or selling real estate. And I think building these relationships is a part of brand building, which is what's so critical in our field. And I honestly think it's up there with lead generation. I think it's lead generation and brand building to really make you an agent.
No, I agree for sure. And I think, you said it best. You was like, okay, I need to just learn what I need to learn, right? As far as writing the contract goes, and then I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna get right in. So I think that, you've already done so much in your career. And I want to talk a little bit about building relationships because a lot of people, they kind of overthink that, I feel. It sounds simple, right? Oh, just go out and build relationships. But it might be a little bit more complicated to other people, especially like, let's just say like the introverted person, right? The introverted person might know, okay, I need to step out of my comfort zone, but it's a little bit hard for me. So what would you say to that person that is like, okay, this is obviously the key to my success, but I'm a little introvert, I need a little bit of help. What would you say to that person?
I'd say it's just don't be afraid. We're all humans. We all have our own experience. It's very unlikely that if you introduce yourself to somebody, they'll be like, oh, don't talk to me. That's very unlikely to happen. And if it does happen, that person was probably having a bad day. Just don't be afraid. We're all just human beings. Like, we're all relatable. We all go through similar experiences, and just introduce yourself. Sometimes I introduce myself to people and they're like, oh, now that you introduce yourself, I also have this business doing this. And there you made a relationship. So just don't be afraid. Like, everybody is just a person.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I saw the video that you made when you were going out in the streets. There's a title. It's a nice title that you put to it.
Yeah, that's a
Tell
new
me about that.
series. That's a new series I'm doing. It just started. It's called Keeping It Real Estate. So that's just a new thing I'm doing where I'm just gonna be out in the streets. Like I said, I love meeting people. I love interacting with people. I love being in the community. And I want to see what people really know about real estate because I think there's a lot of misconceptions in our business. And I just want to debunk those misconceptions, especially in the younger generation. Like, I'm young, I'm 23, and I talk to a lot of people my age, and their mindset is like, oh, buying a house, that feels so unattainable. And it's really not. It's just about educating. A lot of people think you need to have 20% to buy a house. That's not true. So it's about debunking all of these things and educating people.
I think that's so cool. I saw the video and I was like, oh my gosh, it's such a good idea. And talk about, like putting yourself out there. I mean, that is like one way to definitely put yourself out there. Just go out to the street and start talking to people about real estate. I mean, what else is there to talk about when you're a real estate agent, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. The idea came to me and I was like, I need to act on this idea. So that's another thing with, agents and advice I'll give. If, when you receive an idea, you need to act on that idea. Like, to me, ideas are like treasures. If one is implemented in your mind, then you have a certain timeline to act on it. If not, somebody else will receive that idea. So that's how I see things like that.
I love that. And you know what? It's funny because Lucy has that same mentality. She says information without implementation is useless, right? I mean, you can get same thing with ideas. I mean, you can have an idea, but if you're not putting it into practice, it's just gonna always stay as an idea, right?
Exactly.
And no matter how scary it may sound, like I don't know if maybe you thought of it and you're like, oh shoot, like I don't know if I should do it, right? Like, how about talk about that? Like, did you when you came up with that idea, like what was the first thoughts that you had? Did you have a little bit of fear or was it? Talk to me.
Yeah, I did. I think when it first came to me, I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to go on the street? Where should I go? And I wonder if people would even actually want to talk to me. So, to get people to talk to you sometimes and to want to do those things, you kind of have to give an incentive. Which is why I said, I'm giving out Starbucks gift cards. And as soon as I said that, when I first asked somebody, do you want to be a part of this video? And they're like, I don't know. And I was like, you can win a Starbucks gift card. They were like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to make the video. So it's about, sometimes you need to have incentives, like do little fun prizes and things. And it gets people wanting to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's so true. And you know what? And it goes hand in hand with what you're saying is a key to your, success is building relationships. So even from, the ground up where you're meeting a complete stranger, you guys don't have, from the jump, you don't have anything in common, right? But you start building that relationship with that Starbucks gift card, right? Or with that, conversation of like, what do you know about real estate and how can I help you, right?
Exactly. So, like a lot of the girls that I interviewed, this was my first time doing it, and I was honest. I don't seem like it, but I was really scared. Sometimes people see me make content, they're like, "Oh, she's so good at it, this and that." But sometimes I'm really pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Like I really push myself out of my comfort zone and go up to random people and ask them if they want to be a part of my video. That takes a lot of courage, believe it or not.
Yes, it does.
And they had questions about that afterward. They're like, "Can you really buy a house with 3.5%?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Wow, I didn't know that. Like, you just blew my mind."
Look at that. And it's crazy because like we're in this field and we don't know what people know or don't know, right? Until we actually go out and start asking the questions, right? I think that's another key component to this industry is asking questions and asking the right ones, right? So I think you going out there and you asking these questions is such an amazing, initiative that you're taking. And as crazy or scary as it sounds, like you're actually going out there and you're doing it, and then in the process you're also building your confidence and your level of skill set to be able to talk to random people. So I love that. And I think when you're talking about building relationships, it needs to start somewhere, and you are the person that's starting it and keeping it going. So tell me a little bit about, okay, you're in a transaction, right? You close on the transaction. Obviously, your relationship doesn't end there. So tell me a little bit about, like, what are some of the things that you do to continue to build that relationship? Because you talked about building lasting relationships, right?
So something I do, I always say happy birthday to my clients if it's their birthday. I also send a lot of like little gifts, so gift cards when it's like either Christmas or like their home anniversary. All my clients follow me on every platform. So they all love my content. They're all constantly commenting on it. And like I said, after a transaction, we really become friends. Like I really have these like meaningful relationships with all of my clients. I think because they feel very comfortable with me, and I create this space where, you know, if they have any questions, they come to me. Even if they're not buying or selling at that moment, they still feel like coming to me because I'm putting all this information out there. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So do you encourage people to follow you, or is that something that they, like, what do you do? Because I know kind of bridging that gap can be a little bit complicated to some people, maybe.
I do. I actually, a lot of them follow me before we even go into a transaction. So a lot of them follow me on their own, and then they reach out to me. They're like, wow, you really taught me a lot of things with like your videos or the things that you're doing. Or I saw what you did for this house. I'd love for you to do that same thing for my house. You know, I'd love for you to market my house this way. I love how you personalize this video. And they find me before I even met them. And then at the right time, they reach out to me, and then they just keep following me along the way because they like what I do.
So social media is definitely something that you cannot go around. You need to
No, definitely not. I think social media, like till this day, you know, I'll say it again. Social media is the backbone of my business. It was the backbone of my business when I first started. It's still the backbone of my business now. And the reason why it was so critical for me to go the social media route is because I did not know anybody in Fort Myers when I moved here. So that is all I had. If I didn't have a community physically, I built it online and then brought it to the real world, if that makes any sense.
Yes, that makes total sense. I mean, that's, you're literally bridging the gap between, okay, I have a problem. My issue is that I'm in a new environment. I'm in a new place. I don't know that many people. So what's the best way to get in front of as many people as possible, right? And you did that through social media. And then along the way is that, you built the relationships and you started to, find things in common, and you're super, like you said, you're relatable, and people find, comfort in what you're saying because they already trust you through the videos that you've put out, right? So it all starts somewhere. And I love that. I think you have, I love your videos. I mean, when I watched the one with you in the streets, I love like the way you started, the video. You could like, it was like super cheesy, but like it's something that someone can relate to, right? I was able to relate to you in that moment, and I love that. I think it's such a great idea.
What I tell people all the time, I tell agents, I had like a workshop a couple months ago, and there was a lot of agents that went. And what I tell agents all the time, your brand is who you are. Like the videos you see, that's who I am. Whether it's cheesy, sarcastic, funny, goofy, that's who I am. So what you're seeing is who I am. So be yourself. Don't pretend to be anybody else, because when you do that, it kind of blocks your creative mind. So just allow yourself and express who you are, because that'll better your videos, it'll better your relationships, it'll better your lead generation. Like, just be you.
Yeah, that's the best. I think that's probably one of the best advice that you can ever give somebody, because it's true. I mean, there's so many like replicas in the world, right? And then now with like AI, like things are getting a little bit more like, so you have to stand out. You have to make yourself like, just put it all out there. Just be transparent. It could be scary, right? It could be scary at first because it's like, oh wow, I'm letting, people in, but like, that's your mind telling you that. Like, what are they gonna say? What's the worst that can happen? And Lucy
Exactly.
says that all the time. She's like, what's the worst that can happen? You
Exactly.
know, it's
Yeah.
time for your mind, let it out. I mean, you're the one that's probably your worst critic. Like, and then after that, it's just a matter of like just continuing it,
Yeah.
getting better and improving.
Yeah.
I think what I would want to do is, I don't know if you're willing to share, but we also want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the struggles that maybe you faced. So it can be like recently, it could be in the beginning of your career. Obviously, you moving into a new area was a huge struggle. So would you say that there was anything else that you faced that maybe other realtors are facing that you can kind of talk on?
I think one of the biggest struggles that I've always had is my time management. And I think that's very relatable to a lot of realtors. So I think, especially if you transition from, a 9 to 5 to an entrepreneurial lifestyle, I think you question, you know, how am I going to go about my day? How many hours should I spend prospecting? How many hours should I spend on marketing? How many hours should I spend on door knocking or, talking to people and whatnot? And I think that was a really hard struggle for me when I first started. And it's still somewhat of a struggle right now because when you're a real estate agent, your schedule sort of really shifts and changes a lot. So getting down like those specific times that you need, like for prospecting, for marketing, for doing your videos, is very critical towards building your business. And I think a lot of realtors have a difficult time doing that.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, because when you come from, like you're saying, a 9 to 5, your schedule is already laid out for you, right? I mean, you don't have to dissect anything. So now going into being a real estate agent, you do need to dissect it. So I would love Lucy to shine in on this because last week, that's exactly what we did. We spent, I think it was about 2 days dissecting our whole schedule. Like I'm telling you, like we went in and now we have, I wish I was in the room, but our room in our conference room has papers, like papers everywhere of, schedules and when we should be doing what and when we should be doing what task. And our partners, we also have some business partners as well, so when should they be doing certain tasks and are they aligning, right? So when you're talking about not only your schedule, and let's just say you're running a team or you have like an admin or an assistant, right now their schedules need to align with yours, so it gets a little bit more complicated, which is what we
Yeah.
did for like 2 days.
Yeah.
And so I think you like hit it on the nail when you said like time management. You need to dissect it, and now you need to like really see what kind of tasks that you have to prioritize, and then what tasks you have to leave for the end of the day that maybe isn't so, doesn't have a high priority. So I would love Lucy to shine in on this if she can. But what are some of the things that you've learned through time management that now that you implement in your schedule?
Yeah. I realized that prospecting is one of the most critical things in this business, and that if you do not have a set schedule for prospecting, that you're really going to fall behind. So I always give myself at least 2 hours a day to prospect, whether it's calling people or messaging or being on the streets and talking to strangers or passing out my cards. That is prospecting. So I do at least 2 hours a day of it.
When do you sit down and you schedule this out? Do you have like, Lucy calls it a golden hour. Do you have like a golden hour, and when is that?
I do. My Sundays afternoons are my planning days for the week. So I usually spend my Sundays afternoon planning out what I'm going to do from Monday to Friday.
Yes, that is definitely such a good thing. I mean, if you're watching this and you struggle with time management, I mean, definitely taking an hour or two, on a Sunday to really dissect what you want your week to look like, and what tasks that you need to do. Like prospecting, obviously, if we're not prospecting, we're not making money. So, you need to put that in your schedule, and then you need to be like married to your calendar. Like if it's not on the calendar, it's not happening. And everyone else needs to know that as well. Like whoever is in your family, right? Or your close people, listen, this is my business. Like this is what I need to do at this time. If you need me, you can reach me, at X, Y, and Z, right? I don't know, set a time for your people. I have no idea, but it's that crucial when it comes to real estate,
It is.
and having those boundaries laid out as well.
Yeah, it is crucial.
Yeah. So I think Lucy's trying to tap in, but she might be having some connection issues. Is there anything else that you feel like you want to mention before we wrap this up?
Yeah. I'd say just a piece of advice to agents. Just don't be afraid to try different things. I feel like real estate as an industry is really changing, just like everything does. So I think a lot of the ways in which people were doing real estate, let's say like a decade ago, doesn't necessarily apply to now. So research that, study the market, see what different types of technologies people are using. Just find different ways to advance your business. And always be your authentic self, because that is basically the world that we are going into. And if you were to study that market, I usually do with all the marketing I do, people want to see people be real. So just be you.
Be you. That's the best advice. Definitely just be yourself. And I thank you so much for taking the time to come on this episode. We definitely would love for you to come back on, in the near future. Maybe we could talk about something else. Maybe we can dive deeper into social media. If you guys want to know more on social media, she is awesome at it. She's absolutely killing it. Go follow her if you're not following her right now. Her videos are awesome. And yeah, we would love to have you on. I really do appreciate your time, and I look forward to continue to see your growth in real estate, and just keep doing it, girl. Like you're absolutely killing it. I love it.
Thank you. I'd love to just, kind of brand, who I am and help like my generation, like Gen Z, invest in real estate and just, educate people.
Yeah, you're doing amazing at it too. I think I don't know if you want to share that, but I don't know if it's the most recent, but one of the posts that I've seen was you helped one of your people, right? Like when
it was I'm Generation Z, Gen Z is what people call it, and I had this client of mine. He's like 23 years old and he just purchased his first condo. I think there's a misconception that you have to wait till you're older to invest in real estate, and I think Gen Z is just doing a lot of different things. Like, a lot of them work from home, a lot of them invest in social media, have side hustles, and I'd love for them to get more knowledgeable on the importance of investing in real estate. And I'd love to just be a face for them.
Yeah, and yes, you sure are. So keep doing it. I love for us to do this again. If you guys have any questions, feel free to, put them in the comments below. We'll try to answer it as soon as possible. But thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. And that's it for this episode of Agents in the Trenches. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a lovely day. Take care, guys.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.